Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew studio. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the third for free with promo code MyWorld at BlueChew.com. Hey, it's Conrad, the mortgage guy, and you're listening to My World. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Connie, we are live here on YouTube, and I could not be more excited. No, what a way to kind of close down the weekend since we last saw each other here in the My World world. Boy, lots going on in my world. Cody got a graduate, Cats game. We've had some crazy wrestling. I hear through the rumor mill, we may be talking about AI today, and I can't wait to maybe even pick your brain on this subject. But how are you, pal? Live on YouTube.
Man, I'm excited. Thankful that you're able to be here. We are live. We hope that you'll make plans to join us next time. It's myworldpod.com. That's how you get straight to our YouTube channel. It's totally free. I want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button, but most importantly, turn on the notifications bell so you won't miss us the next time we're live. Normally, Jeff and I record on a Monday morning, late morning, but tonight we're recording on a Sunday evening, and you could have been a part had you joined us over on YouTube. It's myworldpod.com. We're getting questions already. Let's hit the most recent one here. Unpopular Show wants to know, when can we expect to see you back in the ring, Jeff? And what did you think of the MVP Netflix show? The entire world is talking about Saturday Night Show. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Okay.
Let's handle the wrestling business first. When can we see Double J in the squared circle again, Jeff?
You know what, Connie? You don't even know the scoop I got, but I can't give it on here, but just stay tuned. Let's just stay tuned. A lot of chatter behind the scenes, but no, got a couple of exciting things coming up. I'm ready to steal Matt Cardona's line. Always ready. Had me a nice workout today out in the UFC gym, but it was hot outside. Got me a little cardio in, but all good, pal. I appreciate you asking. I cannot divulge the details, but all I can say with all sincerity, even Conrad doesn't know about this little tidbit of news coming down the pike. So soon.
Is it AEW related? Is it an independent show? Can you give us a hint? Can you give us a clue?
Well, everything is. If I'm under contract to AEW, it's all AEW related.
Well, that's fair, but I just know we've seen you recently on syndicated television just take Paul Walter Hauser to the absolute woodshed. So in my head, I thought, well, is he doing that again? Or is he going to win the title tomorrow night on AEW? Are they going to say Speedball? And then you just sort of Fargo strut right in the Speedball spot, maybe, hypothetically.
Just stay tuned, pal. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. I'm always my stage of my career, pal. Doesn't take a lot to get me excited because the opportunities I cherish. God, was that? It wasn't here, but I saw a news clip. I think I just recently talked about Orange Cassidy, which out of that whole conversation, Conrad, some folks started sending me highlights of that match, and I was just thinking, man, the last couple of years, Hangman, OC, Acclaim, there's been a lot of fun spots. So we got one coming up. I believe we got one coming up. I'll just leave it there.
Pretty fired up to see what's next for Double J, but I mentioned the old school Fargo strut, and the rumor and innuendo is that is sweeping Tennessee again, thanks to the Nashville Cats. Cats football is back. We've been talking about it for the past several weeks here on the show, and I think there's something. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Is it called Colcomania?
Colcomania. It's crazy. So our quarterback at the Cats football. In the AF1 at the website is the AF1.com. Check out everything. 3 games yesterday in the league. We had one this afternoon, but last night's game, we had a rocking house up at F&M Bank Arena, and our quarterback is a guy named Tyler Colca, and he's got a brother that actually plays in the league too. They both play quarterbacks, Conrad, but man, they can fire the hell out of that ball. They are super talented, and Last year, he got real hot during the middle of the season, and somebody just kind of pinned on him, hey, man, Colcomania is running wild. So I did not come up with that, contrary to what I've already seen a little bit online. And certainly when I was walking around F&M Bank Arena last night, we had two former Titan greats, Dr. Kevin Dyson and Derek Mason. They were our Cats captains, but they were a guy came up and he said, oh, I love Colcomania. I'm glad you came. And I'm like, I'd like to maybe take credit of it because there's quite the buzz. But Tyler made a hell of a play, got himself into the end zone again. And Connie, he did a little strutting, and it was good. It was like a nice Fargo pop. He scored, which they roared. And then when he got up and spiked the ball, and then he told him to get out of the way, and he did his version. Colcomania is strutting. So I fist bumped him after the game, and those boys take it very serious, but you could tell they had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Got the win over the Oceanside Bombers out of San Diego.
I can't believe this is real, but somehow you guys already have merch for this. Is this right? Have I seen Colcomania t-shirts?
It's on the way. The merch is being formulated. Our next home game, we've got 3 more home games, and then we hit playoffs. June 13th, 20th, and 27th is our next round. So we go to Minnesota next weekend, and then Michigan the following weekend, Saginaw right outside of Detroit. But we have, again, away for 2 weeks. But when we return to F&M Bank Arena, you better believe it, Connie. Colcomania t-shirts going to be running wild. We have nice pictures of all the players that are really autographed. They're collectors, and the people are gobbling them up. So it's fun, man. It really is fun to see. It's not a brand new brand. The Cats have been in Nashville for 20 plus years, but this version in Clarksville, just a suburb right outside of Nashville, beautiful arena. It's cool. It's quite the buzz. We are very excited about where things are going with Cats football.
If somebody wants to buy tickets to come see a game, how can they do that, Jeff?
FNMBankarena.com. But the easiest, it's a Ticketmaster building. So Ticketmaster, F&M Bank Arena, or the most simple deal is, and I learned this from a buddy of mine who lives down by Lake Gunnersville. Make that be easy to buy from. Connie, Cats with a K, football.com. That's KATS football.com. It's got all the information. Game tickets, season tickets, merch, you got it.
Well, I'm excited to see what happens in the coming weeks and months with all that you're doing on the Arena League. But I wanted to make sure that we at least highlighted not only what was going on with the Cats, but let's take a look at the strut, shall we?
Oh, here we go. Oh, there he is. There he is. This is right. So we picked it up after he'd already spiked the ball. He dove in the end zone and a nice scrambling play and a hard fought touchdown on this one. And then he went ahead and strutted it on out.
So does he know that's a Fargo strut, or does he think that's a Double J strut, or is it all the same now in Tennessee?
It's probably all the same. That's a good question. I don't know. He loves his wrestling, man. He's good. He has got we put out videos on him, kind of personality profiles. One of the sound bites, Joe Durbin, called him, he's the Drew Brees of arena ball. And that is his game. He's, not the biggest, not the strongest, but man, pinpoint accuracy. He shreds some defense, and it's so much fun, man. He puts it right on the money, and the people love him. And after the game, Conrad, this is the kind of stuff you'll love. He stays, he signs every autograph that he possibly can. The arena, because people come down on the sides, and it's a real fan engagement kind of opportunity. And the players go over to the boards, and they've got Sharpies, and they sign and talk to fans. But man, Tyler makes his way all around the field, high fives, has fun with them, digs into it. So it is really cool. So the whole team, man, they've got a cool kind of energy. They make Clarksville their home for about 12 weeks. And so they really cater to the home crowd.
Check it out, catsfootball.com. We are going to talk about the MVP show, but I think we should probably do a little more housekeeping before we do. By the way, we are live on a Sunday night. If you got questions for Jeff, keep them coming. But Jeff, your family celebrated quite a milestone, quite an achievement this past weekend. We ought to take a minute and acknowledge the great Cody Angle, who I believe is now finished with school. Chat me up, bud.
Well, we're looking at a couple of different college options. In trade schools and something close. And then anyway, I won't get into all the different options that we are looking at, but boy, oh boy, for those that are longtime listeners of my world, or even if you're not, I mean, Cody is, what a journey he has, but Conrad, I cannot tell you how proud that boy was walking across the podium, the graduation, got 360 kids in his class. Big, huge, but anyway, he walked across that stage and turned that tassel at the end of the night. We could not be prouder of the kid. So there he is, man. He just smiling from ear to ear. And he tells me now, kind of, he's an alumni. He's no longer a student. He's an alumni. So I said, all right, we'll take it. But yeah, it's cool. He's had a hell of a week. If you've seen his Instagram today, he's a assistant coach for a 12U flag football. He got his ring, and when he got his ring, Conrad, he he mentally played MJF's theme, the diamond deal, whatever. He's like, I'm MJF. So that, and last Monday, he has joined a men's softball team. Centerpoint Church has brought him on board. First time ever up to bat in any organized sports game. I think he batted 8th, Connie. Boom. Single, hard hit over the third baseman's head, and he was so fun, man. He's been quite busy, but man, what a joy that boy is. Just pure joy.
We're pulling for Cody. So glad to hear that he's getting the most out of life. I mean, graduating, joining a team, Aaron Rodgers becomes a thing again in his life.
Didn't get me started on Aaron Rodgers.
It's been a big week. It's also been a big week. If you watched MVP, that's what everybody's talking about. That was actually our first question. I do want us to talk about it, and I want to know from you guys, did you get a chance to see Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano? It was the event over the weekend on Netflix. Everybody was talking about it. Let us know in the comments below if you're live with us on YouTube. What did you think of the show? Something that I know that we're all going to love, though, for sure, is Blueprint's longevity mix. This is something that's near and dear to Double J's heart. Listen, as we all get a little older, we start to realize we need to start taking a little better care of ourselves. And if you're really trying to slow down the aging and deal with getting older, I want you to know about Blueprint's longevity mix. Maybe you've heard of the founder. You've probably seen a lot of him, Brian Johnson. He's the don't die guy. He's basically trying to live forever, or at least an age that's better than the rest of us. He's become known for running one of the most measured longevity experiments in the world. He's tracking biomarkers and publishing the data publicly, refining everything based on results. And that same experiment first mindset is what led to Blueprint. And this is what makes Brian Johnson, this is actually what he takes every morning. And now he's made that formula available for the rest of us. Of course, we're talking about Blueprint's longevity mix. I think you're going to absolutely dig it. And here's what I want you to know. Instead of a whole cabinet full of pills, it's 1 scoop of water, mix it in, done. This single scoop will help support energy, cognitive performance, mood, focus, sleep, cellular resilience, and healthy aging. With ingredients like magnesium, glycine, creatine, and more, Blueprint is third-party tested for purity and toxins like heavy metals. By the way, they publish all the results on their site so you can see exactly what's in their supplements. And by the way, I want you to know, Blueprint doesn't just make longevity mix. They've also got the essential capsules, omega-3s, collagen peptides, and more, all designed around the same data-driven philosophy. We're talking science-backed, precision-dosed, no BS. For a limited time only, our listeners can get 20% off plus free shipping at blueprint.brianjohnson.com by using the promo code MyWorld at checkout. That's MyWorld at blueprint.brianjohnson.com. That's Brian with a Y, BRYAN Johnson.com. You'll get 20% off after you purchase. They're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. That's blueprint.com/Brian. Blueprint.com/Brian blueprint.brianjohnson.com. Use the promo code MyWorld. Blueprint.brianjohnson.com. Jeff, I'm fired up, man. The entire world talking about MVP. Let's talk a little bit about the main event. It's what everybody's talking about, the spectacle that was on Netflix. Not just the actual main event, but the undercard too. People were curious about Junior Dos Santos, and people wanted to see, hey, what can Francis Ngannou do outside of the UFC? Or perhaps they wanted to take a look and see what happens when Mike Perry, who we've seen over in Bare Knuckle, steps in the cage with Nate Diaz. But the main event was the ladies. That's what everybody's talking about. Inside wrestling, outside of wrestling, and pop culture. It's water cooler conversation.
Shoo.
Did you have a chance to see any of Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey? And what'd you think?
Well, I was curious that you started with the main event. You didn't work your way up and get my comments on that. But as we've already said, Cats football, I was, I was all into that. But driving home, and then there were some other arena games. But I got home, and I got to see Diaz, and I got to see Ronda. So which one would you want to discuss Ronda first, don't you?
Whatever you'd like to talk about,
You said water cooler talk, and I'm really curious. Yeah. You want to go first, Conrad? Because I got my thoughts. And the reason I ask you that is that it's a small poll, but boy, oh boy, my gym crew today and a couple of texts, and everybody wanted my thoughts, and I responded with, okay, let me ask your thoughts, and let me ask you two questions, because they're asking me. They're like, "Hey, was that a work? Was that? What do you think? Was that?" And they didn't use scripted, but they said, "Was that planned?" Most of them said, "Was that planned?" or whatever it was. And I said, "Well," and then anyway, so I fire back with, "Do you believe it was planned, and did you enjoy it?" And so everybody, for the most part, did not enjoy it. Too short. And I'd say it was probably, I don't know, 50-50 on whether it was at least somewhat planned out. I don't know, Conrad. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. But the quick 17 seconds, that was disappointing to me because there was so much hype. And I get it. Mike Tyson boxing matches back in the day were quick. Ronda stuff historically is quick, and the stats that they read off. But from an entertainment value, I was disappointed in that it just too quick. And then look, and I know it's a different game. It's the fight game. You know, they were up, laughing, cutting up, hugging, and I'm thinking, yeah. Karen kind of had the same comments that it was like, okay, well, they're both taking home big ass paydays and they're smiling about it. And I'm like, you damn right they're happy about it. Neither one of them are hurt. More or less didn't get out of breath. But I don't know. It's a mixed bag. It's the fight game. And Conrad, I can't help but watch things. I try my best to watch as a fan, but I'll always dip back into watching it as a promoter, or through the lens of a television executive, or even a Netflix. Like I went right to, I wonder if they were pleased. And because if it's successful, you always want to do another one. And did that help or hurt the next fight? Where does Ronda go from here? She's certainly not one and done. Too much money on the table. I just thought it was, from an entertainment value, a big time letdown. If you want to flip that, can you imagine if that would have been second or third from last, and Diaz would have been last? I don't know. It's the flow of everything. I don't know. It's a mixed bag to me, Conrad. What did you think? I went first. So what did you think?
It was exactly what I expected. You know, I mean,
did you expected 17 seconds?
Yeah. But I'm an MMA fan. You know, so that's on me. But if you look at Ronda's,
no, I'm not. I mean, you can't say I'm
let me just run through Ronda's record. Her first pro fight was over in 25 seconds. She won with an armbar. Her second pro fight was over in 49 seconds. She won with an armbar. Her third pro fight was over in 25 seconds. She won with an armbar. Her fourth pro fight was over in 39 seconds. She won. You want to guess how she won?
Armbar.
It was an arm bar. Yes, sir. The next fight was 4 minutes and 27 seconds. She won with, you want to guess?
Arm bar.
Okay. Then that one after that, she won in 54 seconds. You want to guess how she finished that one?
Bar.
4 minutes and 49 seconds after that. She did pick up a win. You want to guess how?
Arm bar.
Okay, you're on the right track. She beat Misha Tate in 58 seconds. She beat Sarah McMahon in 1 minute and 6 seconds. She beat Alexis Davis in 16 seconds. She beat Kat Zagano in 14 seconds. You want to guess how she beat Kat Zagano? Just guess.
I'm guessing. Armbar?
So you're seeing the pattern. She wins all of her fights very, very quickly. Even the one after that, 34 seconds. And by the way, I know there's going to be some smart ass who's going to say, yeah, but she lost her last two. She did in 59 seconds and 48 seconds.
She lost.
So she lost. The reason she came back, everything's wrestling. The reason she came back is she was horribly embarrassed after Holly Holm. So she thought, okay, I got knocked out. It was my first loss. I couldn't really deal with it. I'm going to get back on the right track. I'm going to come back and I'm going to win. Nope. She lost again, this time even faster. And then she ran to wrestling and we never saw her again. And that was 10 years ago this year.
Okay.
And so now she wanted to come back and have, the biggest payday she's ever had. She had a deal negotiated with Dana. This deal was made back in 2024. In theory, they had to wait until Gina Carano could lose 100 pounds to make weight. And Gina Carano, at 44 years old this past weekend, fresh off of losing 100 pounds, fought her first fight since she was 27. Her most recent fight happened the first year of Obama's presidency back in 2009. And she came out of retirement and lost in the first minute with a armbar.
I think I saw armbar.
So I'm just saying this is exactly, if Ronda always wins in the first round with an armbar real quick, or she loses real fast, but she loses against tippy top competition. And her opponent is a 44-year-old woman who just lost 100 pounds, who hasn't fought since Obama's first year in office. Yeah, it went exactly as I expected. Yeah. And I know people are disappointed, but I'm almost like, hey, unlike in years past, this wasn't a pay-per-view.
No.
I mean, how many people went out and signed up for Netflix because of this? I'm sure there are some, but I feel like almost everybody I know, hell, even Jim Ross has Netflix. I don't know how you could be disappointed in the show. I got exactly what I expected.
Well, so that's what I'm saying is it's free. I get it. It's a TV show. I just, if I'm going to invest in a program,
Jeff, here's what makes me laugh. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're live on YouTube. Michael Rubin just jumped in and says, Conrad, do you think the match was a work? Hey, bud, did you hear what I just said? I'm not saying that to be funny, but it's a work in that everybody who has watched MMA knew what was going to happen. This isn't pro wrestling. There's not a story in the back. You got a 44-year-old woman. She may be the oldest person that's ever competed in high-profile MMA on the female side.
Gotta be.
She hasn't fought since Obama's first year in office. Now, granted, he had two, and then we had Trump, and then we had Biden, and now we're back in Trump. So we're talking multiple election cycles over and up, 4 of them shits since she fought last. And in order to fight here, she had to lose 100 pounds. Does that sound like to you somebody who's been really practicing and staying in the dojo? No, of course not. This was a thank you card from Ronda Rousey to Gina Carano. She knew, and everybody knew, she's going to get taken down in the first round, and she's going to lose by armbar. So it happened exactly that way.
So here's, at the end of the day, this is the last thing I told Karen before she flipped it off and was watching something. She wanted to watch some, I don't know. I said, man, congrats to MVP. Like, I don't care how you slice it and dice it. They created hype. The text came in, hey, you going to watch Diaz? Check Diaz out. This is going to be interesting, da-da-da. And then those are the two I watched, invested about an hour maybe in the deal. So congrats to MVP and Netflix on creating the chatter and the buzz and the hype and making people give a crap about what you just said, historically speaking. And that was the other thing when Karen, after the Diaz, she's online. And I said, cause I'm not a follower. I said 100 pounds. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, when you lose 100 pounds, there's some after effects, or can be. Anyway, congrats to that lady for doing that. Just stop right there. She lost 100 pounds. That is going to put years on her life.
The real story, just so you know, Jeff, is once upon a time, Gina Carano was one of the biggest stars in MMA, but not in the UFC. And as she got more and more popular, she had fights on CBS and Showtime and other platforms. And as it started to really gain some momentum, Dana was selling against his competition, of course. So at the time, what Dana said right into a microphone and staring right down the barrel of a lens on a camera said, "Hey, no woman will ever fight in the UFC. That's not our business model. That's not what we do." And of course, then, it got too big to ignore with Ronda Rousey. She came over and they set all kinds of records. But the super fight before that was Gina Carano versus Chris Cyborg. And that wound up being Gina's last fight. Gina and a lot of other people who went through sort of the strike force development, if you will, he was an old school wrestling type promoter, Scott Coker. So he would build like a territory star. And Gina Carano was that star. So he knew how to position her with the right opponents to get the desired result. Not unlike what happened once upon a time with Mike Tyson and, well, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg and anybody else who's ever sold tickets. But I'm saying all that to say, Gina never made the really big money, Jeff. That didn't start. Okay. It never existed outside of the UFC. So she never really got a big bite at the apple. But like those big bouts that Ronda had, she would make over $4 million a fight for those. Gina never got close to that.
Got it.
But I do think without Gina Carano having some success and some momentum, I don't know that Ronda Rousey would have had the same opportunity. And I feel like Ronda feels the same way. So it's almost like she's paying homage and making sure that she's securing a payday for somebody who paved the road and allowed her to make a bunch of money. And by the way, do not believe all the purses that you've seen out there. I know there's a lot of people who are hot and bothered saying they got paid $3 million for this. They got paid a lot more than that. Ronda said at the post-match presser, "Hey, my husband and I are going to shop for Hawaii places. I don't know if you've shopped for Hawaiian real estate. You ain't getting much for $2 million. So I'm saying all that to say they did a creative workaround to avoid paying California taxes it's the way they've done it in the past. Fedor Emelianenko years ago, it was disclosed that he fought for pennies on the dollar for what people assumed. And then it comes out after the fact that he was also paid like a $1.2 million consulting fee, Jeff. So they got creative to make sure that, hey, we're paying you that for this. So that's probably how they structured this. Those ladies had some sort of a promoter contract based out of somewhere else. And then they got fighter pay that day that had to be disclosed. But no, there's no way it's fake. And I know everybody is hot and bothered about it, but if you followed it, you kind of knew what to expect. Like nobody tuned into a Mike Tyson fight and says, "Well, he knocked him out so fast. That's a waste of money." Like that's what you expect with Mike Tyson.
Look, to me, I told several of my buddies, most of them responded directly in text. I said, "Does it really matter? Were you entertained or not?" And that to me was, you entertained or not. And it's if you're a UFC diehard, Connie, a fight person like you, I assume that you expected it and you enjoyed it. And again, that's not my, that ain't my deal. There's game 7 tonight, Pistons Cavaliers. I'll be looking at that.
They've already tipped off, and I'm excited about it. It's fun for us to take a look and see what the playoffs are looking like right now. But before we talk a little basketball, I do want to ask, you saw Diaz. I mean, Diaz has had the gift of gab for a long, long time. We've seen him essentially quit twice in the ring now. So he's no longer probably at the peak of his career, but hey, he's making a bunch of money right now, and it looks like he's having fun. Mike Perry, no, Jeff, he didn't technically quit, but you saw the fight, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh no, he took an ass whooping, but I maybe I read that wrong. I'm seriously asking you for technicality, whether it matters or not. Was it referee stoppage?
Yeah, it was a referee stoppage. There's rumor he shit his pants. I mean, that's rumor and innuendo. I don't know if that's true. What's that?
Dude wipes.
Yeah, maybe. I just know that's not the Nate Diaz people wanted to see. And we've seen that Nate Diaz a couple of times. I mean, when you show up at the post-match presser smoking weed, listen, you're in you're in that mindset as a fighter. And I don't think there was a chance he was ever going to quit himself. He's not going to do that because that's not his style. But he clearly knew he was outmatched. I mean, he even said it. Hey, it was a fine stoppage. I had blood in my eyes. I wasn't going to do anything. And so, even my wife was like, "Hey, I appreciate he at least said that." But I'm saying all that to say it was a star-making night for Mike Perry. And we know that a lot of people were first introduced to him, and he was on their radar in the Jake Paul fight, but also the bare knuckle fighting championships. That does feel like there may be something there. So now put your business hat on, Jeff. Do you think there's an opportunity maybe for bare knuckle fighting championship to do more with MVP and that be a fixture on Netflix? They certainly teased conversations about Nagano and John Jones, but John Jones was not shy about saying the challenge is going to be getting out of my UFC contract. And clearly Dana is a little bothered by all this. In the middle of the show, he announces that Conor McGregor is back and he's going to be there for International Fight Week on July 11th. That's a big deal. It's the dream match that a lot of people thought would never happen. Just the idea that Conor was ever coming back, this time against Max Holloway. What do you make of all this from a business end? That's what I'm most interested in hearing from you about. Is it an opportunity for BKFC? What do you think about Dana basically selling, using a pro wrestling term, for this? Based on, I know the numbers haven't been announced, but everyone's teasing that it was much bigger than anyone expected on Netflix. Did they do enough to get another event? What's next? What do you expect?
Well, you know what? Okay. So me and Karen laying there watching that, and she asked me, is it true that Jake Paul cannot come to WWE events? And I said, I don't know if that's real or not. She said, well, it's online. And I went, interesting, which obviously I was hoping you were going to get to the business side of this, because Netflix, and here we go diving off into this water cooler talk, if you will. So MVP is on Netflix, and don't they have a wrestling show on Monday by TKO? Well, they happen to. And who's the competition? And Dana, is he selling, or is he or is he being strategic and saying, I want the most fight fans being dialed in that might be outside of my sphere of
100%.
UFC. So I know I got my UFC audience, and I'll blast it to all my platforms, but maybe I strategically put it over into here that Rhonda's picking up some casuals, Gina's picking up some casuals, maybe Diaz and bare knuckle and whatever it is, the melting pot of it all. And so Dana strategically says, okay, here I go. I'm going to throw this out there and get traction. And look where we landed. I love competition and the fight game in this essence, in that I don't think anybody can really read it, but it goes without saying, especially if the numbers are, if they over delivered, you better believe Ronda's got another big ass fight coming up. And so do a bunch of others. So
did you hear her post match? You don't buy that?
Oh, I did. What'd you say?
She retired.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think she's interested in losing. I think, she had a bad taste in her mouth about the 2 embarrassing losses. Let me come back.
Okay.
Be a big name, finish my career. I think if she's back, she'll be in the promoter role, but I don't think that that's necessarily going to be a huge advantage. So I feel like this was a one and done, and this was her opportunity to make a boatload of cash as the top and then move on. That's just, I mean, she said she's going to go buy a house and have babies and live on a farm and blah, blah, blah. So I think that's it for Ronda.
Okay. But it ain't it for MVP. And I love that. I love that a new player in that fight game, because, of course we're going to bring up Real American Freestyle Wrestling and bare knuckle and all the different other, I guess you could say, I don't call them subgenres, but the different,
see, that's the thing though. Bare knuckle. That's the reason I wanted to ask. If TKO, if I'm bare knuckle, if I'm Real American Freestyle, I'm looking for TKO to buy me out. I want them to buy my company. That's the exit strategy. Let's get big enough where TKO will carve us off a bunch of stock. It'll be probably an all stock deal, and we'll be overnight millionaires. That's probably what those folks are thinking. I don't think that opportunity for acquisition exists with MVP.
No.
So whatever leverage MVP and Jake Paul specifically may think they have, with the flip of their pen, they can remove both of those TKO cannons, just sort of take them off the table. So seeing how they respond to these superstars, because make no doubt, I mean, no doubt about it, they wanted Francis Ngannou in the UFC. They wanted Gina Carano in the UFC. They can't make these matches with these sort of splits and pay structure. They're not going to do that in TKO. They've got a fixed income now. The only way they can make less money is to overpay fighters. That's just the way it is.
But yeah.
So leverage wise, it's curious, like, because I was trying to even explain that to Megan, because when we saw a ringside interview with CM Punk, I'm like, this is fascinating. Punk is a WWE Netflix guy, so he's there on behalf of Netflix. But Jake Paul, allegedly, as the story goes, enemy of TKO, not a secret, being called out by Dana White all the time, not a secret. He's not allowed to go to TKO events, but you've got one of the top TKO stars on the same streaming service, on the same show with you right now to promote their show. Meanwhile, the rival to what Jake is putting on is head to head on Paramount, Jeff. So you had a fight night that was live yesterday and a power slap. And you've also got.
Wait, Power Slap was on yesterday?
Yeah, that's where Dana did the announcement from his desk at Power Slap.
See, I love it. I mean, again, I'll repeat it again. I'm not completely dialed into personalities and specifics, and it's not my deal. But just the gamesmanship, God almighty, that gets my blood going, man. That's really okay. Did you say is Power Slap, is that on Paramount now?
No, it's on YouTube.
That's what I thought. Did they also have a Paramount fight?
Yes, the UFC had a fight night show on Paramount. Heads up with this. And Power Slap was free on YouTube. Heads up with this. And they announced Conor McGregor was coming back.
I love it.
Heads up with this. So they're selling. It feels very Vince McMahon. Does it not?
Look at that cross reference.
You don't think?
Well, I'm processing real time. Yes, it absolutely does. It is. Look. You just have to look at, and I hadn't looked at it this week, but you just have to look at the last couple of years of TKO. They do a lot of things right. It was strategically dropped. I mean, the events are the obvious, but letting Connor out during, they mission accomplished. The traction they got and the buzz coming out of the fight. I'd love to see real, not BS, but real analytics. I'd say UFC did okay.
Yeah, listen, the UFC is going to be just fine. What's next for MVP, though, is the real question. Let us know in the comments below. Will you watch another MVP event? It certainly doesn't feel as if John Jones is going to be able to get out of his contract. But I freestyled last week here on the program. Brock Lesnar could be up next. If you wanted to promote Brock Lesnar's last match, it does feel like that would draw a lot of eyeballs, lots of opportunities to come up with something there. Would that interest you? Because that is sort of the other catch-22 here I wanted to bend your ear about, Jeff. From a promotional standpoint, are they running the risk of trying to build whatever brand they are? And then granted, if this was a one-off event, maybe what they did made a ton of sense. But if they're hoping that this becomes the first of many, besides Mike Perry, did they build any stars?
That's so. Again, that was my gut natural. I'll call it a negative reaction. Was that good for the brand? Because hell, yesterday started really early. It was a long ass day, and when I got home, I was incentivized. Yeah, I want to watch this. And I clicked off of it, not with what we're specifically talking about. The next time, will I watch another MVP event? Well, it depends on if they do the right hype. Maybe because I know Rhonda personally put me over the top that I'm like, I want to watch this. But I don't know. not that it really matters in this conversation. How's Jake's jaw? Maybe you can answer that in a minute, but it's like, how many times are they going to go to what's left in the well? You said Brock. Let's just play hypothetically speaking. Is there any other, and I'm just pulling out Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, any of those I mean, Carano fought 17 years ago. Go back again 17 years in UFC. Is there any fights that are 10 and 12 years old that are worth seeing?
Yeah, there's probably some, but I think as far as, the mega stars, you've got to reach deep in your bag. I mean, it'd have to be like a George St. Pierre. It'd have to be a Brock Lesnar. It'd have to be a John Jones, a Conor McGregor. Like, I do think this is going to be hard to repeat. For instance, after you and I, finished, when we got to August of 2022, I got peppered with it a lot. I'm sure you got some of them as well. Hey, who's the next last match?
Yeah.
Because when something works well, they're like, well, they're going to do this again. But, let's be honest. After you've done Ric Flair's last match, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, where do you go? Like, when you start with one of the, whether you believe he's a 1A or 1B or, he's on a lot of Mount Rushmores is the point. So it'd be really difficult for me to go from Ric Flair's last match to Honky Tonk Man's last match.com. Like, that's not a great follow-up act. So you need a different idea. I don't know what that'll be for them if it's not Brock Lesnar, legitimately.
No, that's what I'm saying. The brand. What is the, MVP? What is their brand identity or their mission statement? That's, boy, oh boy, internal discussions with my baseball group and also cats. What are we trying to accomplish here? That would be really, that probably public somewhere. What's MVP's mission statement? Like, what is their vision? Do they have, I don't know. That's a good.
Is it fair to say, at least from your standpoint, I mean, let's appreciate the duality of TKO here. TKO gets a king's ransom from Paramount every single year for UFC. They also get a king's ransom every year from Netflix for WWE. But both platforms featured events yesterday that were sort of trying to get you to not watch the other one. But TKO gets paid by both, which I think is fascinating. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm just throwing it out there. Would it be chess or would it be checkers and a mistake if Vince McMahon got involved with Jake Paul and MVP? Because the rumor and innuendo is that he's got this studio and he was interested in combat sports. There was a story years ago where he actually tried to buy a promotion, and we've all heard the story that 20-something years ago, Shane tried to get him to buy the UFC. We know that Shane is tight with Vince. Is there a way that you could sort of juice up and have a better understanding of the promotional side of things if somehow Vince McMahon, who's probably the largest shareholder for TKO, got involved with MVP?
I'd love that. Would it be a mistake on whose part?
I'm just asking if you have an opinion.
Oh, okay. I thought you said, would it be a mistake? I didn't. I'd love it. Vince, we can talk about visionary and, all kinds of things, but I just think promoters can, and look, he goes, oh, he doesn't bat 1,000. Look at football, look at bodybuilding. I get it. But for every quote unquote failure, look at all the successes Vince has had. And I'm not just talking about the broad stroke of WWE, the amount of successes that he had to build that thing over and over and over. And I'm not just talking about Monday nights. I'm talking about TV deals, rights fees, international deals, the pivot into social media, just all kinds of things. So it would be interesting to see where he would want to take it. Which brings me to another question, Conrad, because you're so dialed into this. Who is Jake Paul's team? Do you know kind of like his inner circle? Like, who's his Pat Patterson, if you will? Is it Joe Silva, like matchmaker? Like, who is MVP?
He does have longtime people. They were at the press conference yesterday, but it's not a name that would jog a memory for you, or it's nobody from pro wrestling.
Yeah, well, and not even just pro wrestling, but they come from the long time of fight games. They're fight folks, obviously.
Yes. Well, and also too, Jake's manager. I mean, I think sometimes people sort of gloss over the success that Jake has had, And it's interesting because this is kind of happening with music right now too. But Jake is like his own promoter, and he's done it masterfully and gotten huge paydays with Mike Tyson and others. But some of that is he's got the necessary tools. And one of the necessary tools that Jeff and I believe in are Proton VPN. You ever notice how the second you Google something, it feels like every ad you see is about that thing? Or maybe you want to watch something while you're traveling and for some reason it's just blocked. I know that's happened to my buddy Dave Silva when he moved down to Texas. Yeah, the internet isn't as open as we all think. That's why Jeff and I started using Proton VPN. Proton VPN is a secure VPN device. It's actually the service designed for people who want to prioritize their digital privacy and their security. It keeps what you do online private, and it lets you access the internet like it should work. It's open, it's secure, and it's on your terms. And unlike most VPNs, Proton is backed by strong European privacy laws and years of expertise, creating a safer, faster, and more open internet for everyone. They do have a strict no logs policy that's been independently verified. So it's open source, so anyone can inspect how it works, and it's backed by a foundation focused on protecting user rights. They're not going to be selling your data behind the scenes, guys. It all works seamlessly, so you can be confident that you're getting an extensive server network, high-speed connections, integrated ad blockers, and compatibility services without restriction in over 145 countries. It's unbelievable. So whether you want to watch content from anywhere, maybe get around some blocked sites, or just keep your activity private on public Wi-Fi, Proton VPN has you covered. For instance, and maybe you don't know this, did you know that the rest of the world outside of the United States gets the WWE PLEs included on their Netflix? How about that? It's easy to get started. Right now, Proton VPN is offering our listeners 70% off a 2-year plan when you go to protonvpn.com/myworld. That's PROTON VPN.com/myworld for 70% off your 2-year plan. That's protonvpn.com/myworld. Jeff, what I'm so fascinated about this opportunity is I'm wondering, we talked about this last week. Could a one-off wrestling event work? And I don't know, but I am wondering, is this the way it's going to work? For instance, I don't pretend to know all the particulars, but clearly Jake Paul and Netflix have worked out production. You had a chance to see some of it. It had a big fight feel. I know there were some hiccups, but it's not like it's a permanent team that works together every week or every month. But man, it felt big. So they've got something going there. And clearly Jake Paul has enough name value to draw enough eyeballs and get enough attention. And so he checks a lot of box. And I wonder, is he the strategic partner to partner with these different guys? Meaning, hey, Ronda, this is going to be your last fight. Let's finish on your terms. And he takes the whole Ric Flair's last match approach, and he did it for Ronda. Well, now, he can do it for Brock. And then eventually he could do it for George St. Pierre, or he could do it for John Jones or Connor or whatever. But whoever's on top of that card, make the lion's share of the money. And for years and years, that's the way boxing was ran, Jeff. As you know, the two guys on the poster, it wouldn't be, and maybe they would say, so-and-so Don King Promotions presents, but nobody really cared about that. It's not like there was a Don King league. It was Tyson versus Holyfield. That's what we wanted to see. Well, that's the way this was promoted, Jeff. It was less about MVP. It was there, but you had to look for it. It was really about Ronda versus Carano. And I think that that's something that Vince wanted to move away from. It became about the brand. And now WrestleMania is WrestleMania, and it sells on its own. So I'm just curious if Jake were to try to embrace the whole, hey, let's partner with these big talents. Let's make them a co-promoter, just like we did Rick. I mean, I know, you and I probably both still get tagged on Ric Flair's last match stuff, but maybe everybody missed the memo. That was Rick's event. And I know people think it was my event, and I appreciate that, but I couldn't have done it without Rick. So in this scenario, I would be the Jake Paul, I guess. I'm going to handle all the back end stuff. You just go be you and get people to watch this. That feels like what he did for Ronda Rousey here. Could that work with wrestling? And could you see Vince McMahon, if he were involved somehow, it changes it a little bit and it becomes about something else? Would he be able to do that, do you think, to sort of shift gears into the boxing mentality? Or would he be more focused on building that brand?
See, and that's where I just think they're two different products. I think the fight game, which I have without question, made everyone aware. I always have that it ain't my thing, but I think it's just such a mistake for people to say, "Oh no," and I know they, for the most part, don't, but I've heard it many times. Oh, the fight game. They're two different audiences. They're two different products. Wrestling is so much more than you named off Ronda's 7, 8, 9 matches ending with the armbar. We were having fun with it, but that was her aura. Wrestling is this sounds so old school, but it's stories, it's capturing emotion. How do you capture emotion? Well, you got to have the yin and the yang. You got to have the heel and the baby face. I don't care how you slice it and dice it. There's no such thing as a tip top baby face who's a red hot baby face unless you have a red hot heel. It's not possible. At the height of Stone Cold, arguably you could say that was the height of the Mr. McMahon character. McMahon's character was new and fresh, and it wasn't that far removed from the Montreal Screwjob, and it was rolling, and all of that was new. And for the most part, hey, that's McMahon. Shit, he was the announcer, and now he's come back behind. And he's the evil boss and the perfect. Just all of that. Wrestling is just a completely different product. That's why I'm not real sure that what is the one thing, maybe unanimous, that people have a mixed bag on, oh, Rick shouldn't have done this, and why did he get color, and was he going to have a heart attack, or this and that. And this kind of sounds self-serving, but it was pretty unanimous. Man, y'all did a hell of a story leading up to that. The story, coupled with Ric Flair last match, to me is a big part of making that thing so successful. If we would have just, and again, that's why I think it's two separate businesses. The fight game and the wrestling game are really not the same.
Repent for your sins. 615 wants to know, what about when you held up Vince for 300K? What about you hit up the archives? It was one of our very first episodes. We did a whole episode on it, long form, at myworldpod.com.
Is more
Let's do some live questions. No One Body says, I won't be awake when you're live. So what's your most embarrassing but funny moment in the ring? And then what's the biggest mystery / unanswered question in wrestling? So let's go to the first one. What is the most embarrassing but funny moment in the ring?
Embarrassing. Gosh.
Did you shit your pants like Nate Diaz? That ever happened?
I hadn't pooped in the pants. Embarrassing. Maybe, I remember coming back on a WCCW house show run in Missouri and wrestled in front of about 28 people. I was embarrassed going to the ring, but it was a ice storm or whatever, and we had to run the show anyway. It's a guaranteed show. But shitty houses to perform on, they can be, but they're not funny. So funny moment.
Your hog ever fall out? You ever have a equipment malfunction?
At No One Body, I appreciate the question, but as far as an embarrassing but funny,
you never had a little pee come out?
Connie,
you ever have a big fart come out? You ever get sick and throw up?
No, I'm just trying to think if I've watched anybody embarrassing but funny. I've seen Robert Fuller as a shoot brother. He used to do this thing. He'd get to the ring, and especially in the summertime, he'd be about a 12-pack in before he went to the ring. But I mean, he was always feeling good, but he's real sweaty. He'd get up, and he's 6'5", maybe taller than that. He could slingshot himself over the top rope if he's feeling really good. He did it one night. Sometimes he'll accidentally, on purpose, hook their foot and then take a bump into the ring. Robert did that for real one night, and Jimmy Golden could not quit laughing like the entire match because Robert kept saying, "Oh my God, my ankle." Anyway, so that was embarrassing for him because everybody knew that he really did it. Because Robert, when you do something embarrassing and you're not working, you try to cover it up, and then you go, "Oh shit, the whole building knows it." Okay, so we all laughed at him.
What's the biggest mystery or unanswered question in wrestling, at least in your mind, Jeff?
Let me throw this at you, Conrad. If you had to write it down on a piece of paper, what are the top 3 ways to get heat on a heel? And is it important?
Oh, you think that's a mystery in wrestling?
Well, there's a lot of folks that have different opinions.
I think he was asking a fan question.
I know, but mystery. So okay, biggest mystery. Hell, I don't know. Who really deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore? Everything's subjective as far as mystery and unanswered. I don't know. What's your biggest mystery, Connie?
Listen, there's lots of silly ones out there. Like people that for years and years wondered, hey, was there a second or did the Ultimate Warrior die? I know that was crazy. But like when I was a kid, people used to say that all the time. And then of course, maybe 99, there's the hey, who raised the briefcase in the WWF or over in WCW? Who was driving the white limo? And so there's all these sort of what if storyline wise. But I do think that there's some interesting mysteries in wrestling. Like, what if so and so never jumped ship? What if, like, to me, what if
okay, now we're getting somewhere.
What if Brett sticks around and Sean leaves and goes to WCW?
Yeah.
Like if Sean would have left at the Montreal screw job, if that would have been the swan song for him. Like those sort of fork in the roads. I don't know if that's exactly what he's asking, but those are at least the fun ones that I like to beat up. Do you have one in your career? Like, hey, if this one thing changes, does everything else change?
I'll get to that second. The one thing that you threw at me, and we're going back a ways, that I go, wow. What if Hulk Hogan goes to McMahon and says, Vince, I have got a contract in front of me from Ted Turner, and it's going to pay me a lot of money. I don't want that much money. I just want some points in your company, and I'm in for life. And because we had that conversation. If Vince would have gave him some equity, not a lot, but something where Hogan was there, quote unquote, pardon the pun, for life, would we be talking about the NWO, WCW run, Goldberg, Nitro, all of that? I think the industry would have taken a different course. I think that is.
I think it would have worked out the same way.
Okay.
Serious business. The reason I say that is clearly Vince and Hogan got to an impasse where they couldn't agree on creative. And you just said it. If Vince would have given him some stock, some equity, he would have been positioned as a minority partner, to say the least. So if there's anybody who knows a thing or two about being a minority partner in big time wrestling and feeling like you've got the good ideas and you've got the right instinct, but unfortunately you don't have the stroke, pardon the pun, to make the call, I think he would have found himself in a Double J type position where Vince just overruled him. Like clearly Vince thought on multiple occasions, hey, the Hulkamania run is done. And I think even if he was a shareholder, it would have wound up with him saying, okay, well, I'll show you. And he's going to go where he's got, because it's not like he was ever going to give Hogan equal control. No. We're going to be 50-50. That would have never happened.
Yeah.
So even if it was minority, maybe it would have affected WCW, but somebody would have bet on Hulk Hogan if he decided he was leaving Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I think.
My biggest deal is I'd have just stuck it out and not gone to WCW the first time. We've talked about that. That could have twisted.
Not walking out on Vince in 95.
Not necessarily that. Yeah, I mean, yes, that goes without saying. That's kind of the obvious. But even if I'd walked out and came back and stayed and re-upped.
That's the biggest what if of Jeff Jarrett's career. You heard it straight from Double J's mouth. What do you think that would have looked like? Obviously, you're there then during the whole New Generation era. You're there during the Attitude Era. So, like, when Foley comes over, you're already there. When Austin comes over, you're already there. When Rock comes in, you're already there. So instead of those other stars sort of getting established and elevated, and then you are reinserted and trying to figure out where you fit, you kind of would have been there through the entire evolution.
Yes. Yes. Prior Triple H, prior Rock, prior, because all of it. I think.
Hey, I hate to put you on the spot, but said differently, are we really talking about Steve Austin here? Like, because he had so much leverage by the time you came back, I'm legit asking, do you think it was a situation where if you would have been there the entire time, now instead of, hey, you're hoping to work with Austin, he's hoping to work with you because he's coming in from ECW. At that point, you've been a multiple time Intercontinental champion, blah, blah, blah.
Cream always rises to the top.
There's feels like you wouldn't have had the leverage to push you out is what I'm trying to say. And y'all would have worked together as
that's it.
More peers for the Intercontinental title. And then when y'all leveled up, you would have leveled up together as opposed to he's there and now you're trying to reestablish.
Definitely work much more together. It's just been a different political
landscape.
Yes. 1,000%.
I think that's interesting. What do you guys think? What's the biggest what if of Double J's career? Let us know in the comments below. We are live, by the way, and we've got some really, really great questions. And speaking of jumping ship, we're going to be talking about, hey, if we had it to do over again, what would young Double J do? But before we do, let me tell you about something that we all need to know about. I'm talking about Stopbox. Listen, we've all been there. It's 3 a.m. and all of a sudden you hear a noise in your house. What's your next move? Are you going to freak out and have absolutely no plan? You're going to start fumbling around with the keys to your safe? Are you just hoping your battery in your safe didn't die? Or maybe even worse, is your firearm just out? I got to tell you, Stopbox Pro is the reason that my family started safely storing our firearms, and it's a game changer. Maybe you're not in the loop on this, but you're going to love that the Stopbox Pro is completely mechanical. Here's what that means, folks. No keys, no batteries. It never fails. The 5-button interface is designed for muscle memory, so you get immediate access while keeping others out. Your firearm stays secure, but always within reach. And you're going to absolutely love your Stopbox. I've gifted this, I can't tell you how many times, multiple birthdays, Christmases. If there is a handgun owner in your life, they will not be disappointed with Stopbox. You should also know that Stopbox is TSA compliant, so you can actually check your firearm safely and legally when flying. It's made in the USA. There's no tariffs, and it also means they're creating meaningful jobs and opportunities for the American workers. And they've got a brand new range of other products, including Stopbox You-Can. The Stopbox You-Can uses the same mechanical locking system as the Stopbox Pro, but it does have a much larger storage capacity. So you can do not just your firearm, but your ammo and a lot of your other equipment that doesn't need to be on your person, but you'd like to keep it all in one spot. Right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get 10% off at Stopbox when you use the code Jarrett. That's JARRET at checkout. Head on over right now to stopboxusa.com and use the code Jarrett for 10% off your entire order. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. So we're still live with Jeff. Keep those questions coming. But Jeff, we had a fun little graphic pop up on X this past week. It was actually a post, and we'll try to give credit here if it's in the graphic. I apologize if it's not, but I saw it and I thought this would be great. We got to ask Jeff about this.
Oh, boy.
Now, it's hypothetical, of course, but I love these sort of positions that we can put you in here. Here are your options, Jeff. Okay. So you've got 4 different options, and there's no bad options, lots of good options. Let's take a look and we'll go left first. The WWE contract that's being offered to a young Double J. Now, in this alternative universe, Double J is a young whippersnapper. It's 1986 for old Double J. And he's got an opportunity to go to WWE. And he's got a 2-year offer for $500,000. But they tell him right up front, listen, still wet behind the ears, still green. Going to put you in some positions to learn. Going to set you up with Tyson Kidd here. And we're going to try to get you on Raw or SmackDown once a month or so. That's option A, WWE, 2 years, $500,000. Option B, we'll talk about New Japan. Maybe you're a young whippersnapper. Maybe you like that strong style, and they're willing to make a long-term commitment to old Double J. They say, Jeffrey, we'll give you 8 years. We're going to run you $100,000 a year, but we're going to push you as a main eventer. Shibata is going to be your mentor and help you get assimilated to life in Japan and how this audience works. And as a matter of fact, here's how serious we are. We're going to make you the new leader of the Bullet Club, Double J. Now, I don't know why, but this one tickles me. You've also got an offer from this company called TNA. TNA is looking to hire young Double J, and they're offering a 3-year deal for $200,000 a year. They want to make him the face of the X division. Still got those buggy whip arms. Tommy Dreamer is going to be your mentor, and you're going to get a guaranteed year-long run with the X Division title. And then lastly, the AEW option. You've got 4 offers, Jeff. This one's for $400,000. They say they're going to position you as more of a mid-carder. You're going to be learning from Christopher Daniels, and you're going to get guaranteed at least one TNT title run. Now, of course, we know, Jeff, in real life, none of these are even remotely. This is not how the business works. This is fan fiction. It's an alternative universe. It's 1986. But I want to show this graphic again with all 4 options on the table, because this created a lot of discussion online amongst the fan base. And I think it looks like it's Wrestling Republic. We want to give them a shout out for this, because this did create interesting chatter online. And I thought to myself, this would be fun and hilarious to let Jeff take a look at this with a promoter's mind and a wrestler's point of view, somebody who's been around the biz for 40 years. He's going to process this differently than fans do. So when you take a look at all 4 options, what jumps off the page to you most of all about this?
Oh my goodness. Because either you or Silva or both of y'all sent this to me, and I chuckled, did the double take. Then I really looked at it, and I think you've answered the most important question. How old is the person here, or am I at this time?
It's the 1986 Jeff, so you're 40 years younger than you are now.
1986?
1986.
Well, Conrad, you just answered my question. My God, I know there is no doubt if you did a 2-shot right now, Conrad is going to be grinning because he knows the one I'm picking. Right? I mean, you don't have to say it is, but do you know exactly the one I'm picking?
I know exactly what you're picking and why.
Anything can change. Sign me up 2 years and I'll count all the lights you want. I'll be $1 million to the better. And I can assure you that cream will always rise to the top. And after that 2 years, you can build yourself right on up, because if you're smart enough, you can get over doing jobs. And if you're dumb enough, you can win every night and be deader than a doornail.
But to be clear, I want to make sure everybody's following this. Let's show all 4 options again. The options were $100,000 for 8 years, $200,000 for 3 years, $400,000 for 5 years, or $500,000 for 2 years. It's no surprise to me that old Double J took a look and said, "Hey, Connie, which one pays the most money? Why don't I reckon I just try to do that?" And I think sometimes people overthink that, Jeff, but this is your job.
Yeah.
So if you had, again, we're not saying it's the same thing. It's not. And to each his own. But a lot of people make decisions as an entrepreneur. I'm not going to give the old "if you worked at Burger King" analogy, but if you had an option to own a Burger King franchise or a McDonald's franchise or a Wendy's franchise or a Whataburger franchise, I think the natural thing that everybody would go to first as an entrepreneur. Now, as a fan, you might say, "Well, I don't like their fries. I really like their burger." That's fan talk. As the entrepreneur, not the consumer, the person buying the sandwiches, but the person selling the sandwiches, I think you'd say, "Hey, historically, which franchise makes the most money?" And we'll start there, right?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And Conrad, we've gotten into deep discussions on this pod about this. And I believe, Cornette, Jeff, it had a blessing and a curse to, your dad was the promoter, or your grandmother was a promoter. And I mean this out of all sincerity, because I've looked at it through every lens. I've been, the rookie in the dressing room all the way up to the vet, the promoter. I worked for other guys. I've watched different things. I've also just seen over and over and over, a guy can come in. There's a guy out of North Carolina that Scott Hall kind of took a liking to and used to call him Ice in the dressing room because Vanilla Ice was real hot. But there's no doubt in my mind that Scott Hall was instrumental in going, "These Hardy kids, did you see the bumps they took out there? And man, oh man, they got charisma." It's just how it works. You can get over it. And I mean this. Those lessons, people are like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, and now so more than ever, in the 80s, you had 3 minutes, 5 minutes tops. A long TV match. Coliseum Home Video made them more of that, but you really had to have a spot there. But to get over, you had no social media, no interviews. You had to get over in your little short period of wrestling, get over with the crowds, and then vignettes came for other people. But for the most part, but man, if you learn your trade and learn how to get over, you can get over with the fans, you can get over with the promoters, and you can get over with the dressing room. And they're all very important. And that's why I just think get in there and have your talent because, Conrad, when I saw the New Japan, I'm just calling it the New Japan, 8 years at $100,000 and you're the leader of the Bullet Club, I chuckled and I thought, I wonder if there's any talent in the world today that would actually kind of give me $100,000 for 8 years. And I bet there is.
There 100% is.
Yeah, and I get that. To each his own. It takes all kinds. If everybody thought the same way, the business certainly wouldn't be near as exciting as it is. But it's just selling yourself so short, and it's devaluing your own talent. I also think that. Anyway, it's
very Sabu, in my opinion, to pick something like New Japan. Like, I view you, and boy, I might accidentally piss you off here. You may be 3/4 hot with me here.
3/4.
3/4, more than half hot, but like 3/4.
I love it. Red ass coming.
I view Jeff Jarrett as a businessman who wrestles. So when you think about wrestling, I think you approach it from a businessman mindset. What's good for the business? What's going to make the most money for the business? What's going to sell the most tickets? What's going to move the most merch? Hey, what's going to make us all more money? And that is the way a salesperson or an entrepreneur or any of those type people with those backgrounds are going to look at wrestling more times than not. But a guy like Sabu, I don't feel like did that. I think he viewed, and maybe he's more like a Kenny Omega. I saw Kenny Omega at StarCast many years ago. We were like watching his documentary. I think it was in Vegas in 2019. But the gist was in that documentary, he talked about, hey, his matches, he viewed himself as an artist and the matches were his canvas and he loved to paint and he viewed himself as an artist. And I think Sabu kind of did the same thing. Like he wanted to do what he wanted to do. So I have my vision. And recently Eric Bischoff even talked about this with Raven, that the real life Scott Levy had a vision for what he wanted Raven to be. And he became inflexible with it. Hey, this is the way it should be. And for a certain section of the audience, boy, they absolutely love it. And to this day, they're like, oh, Raven's on my Mount Rushmore of personal favorites, but it didn't connect with a large enough audience. So I think Eric thinks a lot like you in terms of, hey, what's going to gather the most attention, garner the most attention, generate the most revenue? But I don't think, respectfully, that guys like Sabu or Raven view it that way. And I think that's the type of performer who would look at the New Japan contract and say, hey, I just like this job and I want to feel creatively fulfilled. And I think I would enjoy my work more there as opposed to, hey, I'm working to make as much money as I can for my family. It's a mentality shift, don't you think?
It is. And I'm probably going to, you talk about going to make me half hot. Hell, do you know what a big smile my grandmother in heaven has right now, Conrad? That's a shoot, brother. I mean, yes, it's ingrained in me, but again, agitating some folks. I always have had quite the kind of head scratcher that, to my knowledge, ECW, did they ever have a profitable year? And it was very niche and
overall it was a money loser for sure.
But there was a style that endeared themselves, and it wasn't all hardcore because Chris and Eddie and Dean and Ray and there was a lot of different things that involved in that promotion. And certainly you just mentioned Raven. There's been so many people down the lines that, and my dad used to have those conversations that, oh boy, gosh, I'd love to try to, well, it'll come to me. But he talked about several talent that a lot of guys that would come in to the territory and would be tickled to death. Hey, Jerry, put the Mid-America title on me. If I can stay here 6 months and then I'll move on, that's as high as I want to go. I don't want to get up in the main events. I'll start doing jobs and this and that. And I'd rather just kind of come in, win for a while, drop the belt on the way out. But people, that was their mindset, that they would rather stay in their mind in more of a kind of a protective role, that it wasn't necessarily about the money. It was about, unfortunately, not just winning and losing, but how they are painted with the brush in that. And I don't know where talent, and I get it. We're all different. We all look at the industry different, but it is a business. It's and maybe it is a hobby for others, but it's a business first and foremost. And I guess it's kind of in my DNA. I was at the ball fields today, and I'll tell you a little story. And Karen goes, "You're getting emotional over there." So there was a flag football game today. Coach is assistant coach and helps out and everything, but they were 12U kids, boys playing back and forth and playing a championship game, playing their ass off. And there was a boy on the other team that, I can't say his teammates maybe let him down. Bad play here, bad play there. Didn't work out. He made a bad play. And he started to cry and didn't get his stuff together and tried to cry again. And I'm just like, that kid will succeed. There's no doubt in my mind he will succeed. He cares more than anybody on the field right now. Certainly his teammates. He's so mad and so angry they're not winning. His emotions are coming out. And I went up to the dad after and applauded him. And so I think the competitive nature to me in the industry, and maybe from an early age, this is how you win, son, and this is how you lose. You win by making the most money. And if you can make the most money, and I'm talking about as a talent, as a promotion, let me be clear that if the promotion makes the most money it possibly can, guess what? That means it's going to be around the next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. And all the mouths can eat out of it for, over and over and over. And maybe that's just how I was brought up, but that is the mindset. Make sense?
It does. I think it's like an old Zig Ziglar type cliche of WIIFM. What's in it for me? And there's so many folks who just take a look and say, "Hey, what's good for me?" But the reality is, if you take care of the business long enough, the business will take care of you. But I wanted us to run through that exercise of, if a young Double J had these 4 different options and had this landscape laid out, what would he pick? And you picked exactly the way I imagined that you would. So I'm glad to know I was able to call that.
I picked the arm bar.
You did pick the arm bar. And something else that you're all going to pick is Ridge. I absolutely love Ridge, and you will too. Specifically, I want to talk to you about, and I know that you've been using this product, Jeff. You've got all these different charging cords that we need in our life. You got one for your phone, a different one from your headphones, maybe one for your watch, one for your Kindle. Man, this honestly should be illegal. I mean, how is it that we have freaking AI robots, but we still have to travel with 5 cords tangled up in our bag just to keep our devices alive? Well, that's over now, thanks to our friends at Ridge. Just like Ridge revolutionized the wallet, Ridge has now changed the game for portable charging. I want to tell you about Ridge's 5-in-1 travel power bank. It's got built-in cables, and it lets you charge all your devices at the same time with just one power bank, and there's no extra cables. And right now, with Father's Day coming up, if you're trying to think of a gift he'll actually use, buddy, this is it. Because all of our dads somehow own like 15 chargers, and it feels like none of them are the right one. And you can finally not let dad have to battle that drunk drawer full of random cables from 1996. The Ridge power bank is here, and it means business. You've got the MagSafe wireless charging. You've got an Apple Watch charger. It's Lightning. It's USB-C. Every way you need to charge, all in one premium device. You've also got enough to do 3 full phone charges right in your pocket. You may not know this, but just in time for Father's Day, I want to remind you that Ridge was actually built by a father and a son, and they already know, and you know, what dad's dealing with. You don't want him to bring the wrong charger, asking if anyone has a cable, trying to make one cord work when we know it's not gonna. No more does anyone have a charger. Get dad a gift he'll actually use every single day. What you know about all Ridge products is that they're reliable, durable, and guaranteed for life. Like everything Ridge makes, this dude is built to last. You've also got free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty. This is the last power bank you'll ever need. No more juggling adapters and wall outlets at the airport just to get to 20%. It also looks badass. It comes in a lot of great colors: matte olive, base camp orange, matte black. And they've got this new colorway, Godfather inspired maybe, atomic purple. It's a design that doesn't scream, I bought this at the airport. But the MagSafe compatible wireless charging, you're going to absolutely love that. And so will Dad. The idea that it's magnetically attached so you never lose it is awesome. They've also got the LED charge status indicator so you can know exactly where you are charge wise at a glance. And by the way, they just dropped a new iPhone. I want you to know this one works with that one too. Go right now. It's one thing to pack, 5 ways to power. For a limited time, get up to 40% off during Ridge's huge Father's Day sale. It's going down right now at ridge.com/myworld. Don't miss out on one of their biggest discounts all year. Head on over right now to ridge.com/myworld. That's ridge.com/myworld, and you're all set. Now, after you purchase, they're going to ask you how you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Hey, Jeff, as much as Karen and you are on the phone, I know y'all are loving your power bank.
Buddy, that is the go-to. We argue over it, and Cody is a guy that he gets around 70%, boom, he wants a charger. But the Ridge charger, I've got the wallet too, but the Ridge charger, it is, we probably have 4 or 5. Karen always has to have one ready with girls in the house. A lot of moving parts, but I promise you our Ridge is, it is the top seed in our house. It is the go-to. It's freaking awesome, dude. Ridge.com/myworld, 40% off. Use the code MyWorld.
We got a lot more stuff to talk about, including house shows, and we are going to talk about AI. But before we do, let's answer some questions here. Mars Classic is with us here live and says, "Hey, Jeff, I've had this question for years, but in 2006, TNA did an angle where Jackie Gator kept threatening to expose Jeff Jarrett. What was the payoff going to be?" This was circa early 2006, prior to the lockdown pay-per-view. Do you remember this?
You know what? We've been asked about it on here, and I don't. We need to ask. We need Dutch. We need to ask Dutch or Vince or maybe Demore. I don't know if I don't know. I don't remember. At Mars Classic with an X. I apologize. But there is an answer. We will get there, but we kept teasing it. And oh man, we've kind of done the deep dive on this, Connie. Shit. I don't remember. I wish I did. And I don't want to bullshit you and come up with something. Did Jackie end up leaving before we could pay it off? Was that the reason we didn't pay it off? Maybe it was.
Creatively, it is going to be interesting to see if anybody remembers. Scott Demore, if you're listening, text us, brother.
Yeah.
We'll get that out there as soon as we find out. AOTV Productions wants to know, "Hey, Jeff, one of AEW's biggest critics has been Jim Cornette. Have you heard any of his criticisms, and are any of them valid?"
You know what? I have not. I mean, no, I can't say that I hadn't heard it. Yeah, of course but at the end of the day, Jim Cornette is doing what he has always done since the day he broke into the business. He is making money off of his mouth. And he's very opinionated. He's very good at what he does. He is not afraid, here's a shocker, to piss people off. He's not afraid to take a hard line. He's not bashful in any sense of way that he says something that may be contrary to what is in for the day or the week or the month. And Corny, again, I always love to hear the stories that he was the photographer, and his mother and my grandmother were best friends. And my dad's like, "Hey man, if you can get as much heat or half as much heat on front of the camera as you are back here in the back with the boys who you're making a shitload of money off of because they're buying the pictures from you, we're going to make a lot of money." And off it went. And he's had a legendary career. So yes, I've heard him.
Noah Kirby, 8269 wants to know, "Jeff, what do you consider the Mount Rushmore of wrestling themes?" Now that's kind of fun.
Ooh,
What are what are 4 wrestling themes that you think stand out above all the rest?
I learned this a while ago in that, when you see Mystico come out right now, and it's in a different culture, it's hard to not put but it depends on what uh, era, what genre, what location around the world. When you think of, I'll just say kind of, uh, okay, you could take the TNA promotion because there was a style. You can take the Attitude Era. I think the gong from Undertaker is something so symbolic that just one note would put a chill. I've always thought how brilliantly, and I guess Mark and the character and how it was developed through the years, it all went together. But it is a real, um, it is music is very, very powerful. And doesn't have to be lyrics, but the first few notes will grab you. I thought we've talked about this. AJ's Styles, Let It Fly, or Get Ready to Fly, TNA theme. Abysses was good. Awesome Kongs was good. Obviously, the Stone Cold Glass Break. Hulk Hogan's.
All right, you're just naming things, bud. Just get me 4 here.
I don't have 4. I just rattled off my favorites.
All right. Parky Mania says, we know you debuted in the WWE with Colonel Robert Parker. That's actually not true. That's the second time, but let's pretend it's the first time.
Okay.
If Vince told you you had to bring up somebody with you as a tag team, any other CWA talent, who would you have brought? Now that's interesting. So when you first go to New York and Vince is saying, we see you as a tag, but you're going to be the star, but you need a new guy with you to bring along with you. Who's your tag partner you bring to the WWF?
From Memphis?
Yep.
Brian Christopher.
Okay. That would have been fun, dude.
You ain't kidding.
I mean, think about that pairing too. You got the sons of the 2 Jerrys. I mean, would y'all's names have been the Heat Magnets? What do you think?
Buddy, when Brian wanted to turn it up a few notches and get heat and didn't care, good almighty. That would have been a lot of fun because we had a lot of singles matches against each other, and we would have a couple of tags here and there. But that, off the top of my head, can you imagine Robert managing the 2 of us? That'd have been fun. Good question at Parka Mania, the original.
I don't think I would have wanted him managing both of y'all. I think I would have wanted just you 2 together.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I mean, just you 2 together. And you know what? Why not have Road Dogg be with you? And so now all of y'all are multi-generational. He's still the roadie. You're still, and maybe, I don't know, he's lead guitar or some bullshit.
Yeah.
It could have been
magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys as Heat Magnets.
Oh,
amazing.
That's fun.
Man, I wish I had Danny DeVito with us here for this one. ACOS 517 wants to know, was there ever a move or a spot you refused to do? And what's the most painful move you've ever taken? So let's start with that first. Of all the crazy bumps you've taken, is Snuka diving on you off the top of the cage? Is that the worst, or is there something else that's worse?
When you say painful, yes, because it gave me the worst concussion of my career by multiples. What a dumbass I was, but just didn't expect it. Yes.
What you think you were dumb for that?
No,
I think a lot of us wouldn't imagine Snuka jumping off the cage is going to get me a concussion. I don't think most people would guess that, Jeff.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hindsight. Most painful.
What sucks? You're like, yep, I did it once. That's enough. I ain't touching that hot stove again.
Painful or dangerous? Sometimes those, what do they call them? Like buckle bumps into the back of a turnbuckle that you can't really, your top of your neck can get clipped and that kind of stuff. Those are dangerous.
Most painful was the question.
Yeah, but painful. Like a belly. It depends on the ring, but if you take a small spot show ring and you do a belly to back, and hey, let me drop you on the side of the apron when you're outside fighting, and a guy will say, "Hey, I'm trying to think. White Boy did that to me one night. Hey, I'll duck your punch. I'll give you a belly to back, but I'll drop you on the apron." Hell out of wrestling. I would have rather he dropped me on the concrete floor because you're hitting halfway. That was painful. Those type stuff, because you can't flat back. You're just getting dropped. Those are pretty.
Is there a move out there now that's popular with all these whippersnappers, all the kids these days, where you're like, nope, I ain't doing that one?
Anything that you cannot really protect, a free fall, your neck, there's that. Anything going into the turnbuckle that you can just hit the top of your neck and not really get the small of your base of your neck. Those can, man, that quick. You blow it out, herniate it, and you never be the same.
Kendoman 862 says, if lightning struck Corny and he came back to write and book for a promotion, how do you think the fans would react to his style compared to TK and Triple H? Man, that's 2 Jim Cornette questions here today, but it is an interesting question. I think almost everybody listening to this knows the type and the style of wrestling that Jim Cornette really values and he enjoys. And for the record, I think a lot of our audience, myself included, enjoy that style as well. But it's not the style that's being presented necessarily on WWE or AEW, because everybody's going to put their own spin on things and their own signature on things. So his approach would certainly be different than that of Triple H or Tony Khan. How do you think the Cornette style would work today in 2026?
You know what? I recently did something, and the online audience picked it up, that it was very complimentary of Tony's booking style. And what I was talking about is Tony has a philosophy, a mindset to have a really, really deep roster. And I think as time has played out, you see where he's going with it, that he'll have the ebb and flow, I'll call it, and I shouldn't say traditional booking, but the ebb and flow. But all of a sudden you have 2 or 3 names show here and show back up here. And it does. My dad taught, I mean, any territory booker or from that generation will, and you know, times WWF in the early, it ebbed and flowed during times, pretty deep rosters. When you have the ability to take, quote unquote, somebody off the shelf and inject them in there, it freshens everything up. I think Cornette, I think that's why I think this is super subjective, because when you say his style, well, his style was, for lack of a better word, 10 heels, 10 baby faces, very little turnover. And so you had to book super episodically because of the economics of the industry or the territory or the business at the time. So I don't think it's, when you comparatively speaking, I think it's very difficult. The one thing, it says, how do you think the fans would react? So I think the style that will say Cornette or whatever it may be, booking for heat, I think, and that's why I was going with it. I think there's a lot of lost art in that if you, and there's no doubt it can still be done. If you, quote unquote, book for heat over time, you will get that payoff. I think in a lot of ways, MJF, no matter love him or hate him, and, you know, again, it's so hard this day and age because we just don't have the same metrics and streaming and no house shows, and the merchandise isn't the same. It's a different era. But booking for heat is something that I believe to this day will reap a ton of benefits. And that's why I think that's what Cornette, that's how he would book more for heat, because the old saying goes, and I still think it's very true, heels draw money.
AOTV Productions has a question about booking. He says, hey, Jeff, recently Tony Khan was offered to collaborate with Juggalo Championship Wrestling by Vince Russo, who claims they can come up with creative that will blow WWE into oblivion. How hilarious is that? This is the question from AOTV Productions. Listen, you've spent a little time with both of these guys. Obviously, you're, way more depth to the friendship or relationship, we'll call it, with Vince Russo. I mean, decades at this point. But a little bit of these guys. Do you think there's a scenario where Russo and Tony Khan could collaborate creatively, or is that too far-fetched for you?
Well, I mean, no. Everybody said there's no way Russo and Cornette could collaborate or coexist. I can't say they collaborated. I just don't see it happening. And it's not like one likes the other, is that Tony has millions. It's his own invested. AEW is his promotion. It's his baby. Tony is going to solely focus on AEW, and that's no disrespect to anything else, but everything under that umbrella. And I just don't see at this point Vince being under that. I see him under JCW. I don't see Tony moonlighting for JCW. I don't see it happening. So yes, it's hilarious to have that conversation.
How would Vince Russo's booking style for AEW? Could you see Tony Khan being on board with that? It feels like their style of
it's
like,
180.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's 180. You know, and I'm not saying Tony. I mean, it's minimal talking, and Vince will tell you to this day he likes minimal wrestling. So there's oil and water right out of the gate.
Another question here from AOTV Productions. Hey, Jeff, I was just wondering, do you believe in Joe Hendry? We haven't talked about Joe in quite a while, but we know he was a superstar in Europe, and then he became a big-time player for TNA, winning their world title. And now we see him on WWE programming. What do you think of Joe Hendry's presentation?
You know what? I think he's got a window that's closing in.
What does that mean?
I just think, and I don't, obviously, maybe there's going to be an unreal bit of news or something out of online. I don't know where he, like in the Raw rooms, in the SmackDown rooms, in the writers' rooms, how is he being perceived right now? Because when guys, you know, when you just said it, they make the transition, Europe, NXT or TNA on their way up. Is he going to keep that same traction? Because there's an AEW audience, there's a TNA audience, there's a WWE audience. I do think there's an NXT. Yes, there's a crossover, a big crossover, but it's a different audience. And I'm not sure the Joe Hendry character has caught in traction. And will they give it enough time to really catch traction? I don't know.
Acos 517 wants to know, WCW specifically, who's 5 guys you'd want with you in a bar fight? That's a fun question. So now, you know, it's after Nitro, and we're going to have a slobber knocker here. There's some fan running their mouth or what have you. And it's going to be you and 5 guys you want with you on your side of this brawl. Who's on Team Jarrett?
To me, it's a no-brainer in their college or right out of college. Steiner's, Robbie.
Yep. There's 2.
Deceptively strong. Okay. Scott, Robbie. Got to go Ming.
That's an easy one. We all expected it. There's 3. Now here's where it gets interesting. Last 2.
All right. I'm going to see what your thought is on this, but you get him, now he's the nicest guy in the world, but back in the day, and I've heard stories, I'll take Hacksaw.
Wow.
Big old dude. His job in the NFL was to break the wedge on kickoffs. He is that. And then, boy, I'd love to see a roster to see. Have a little fun with this one. Tank.
See, I would have picked Booker T. I thought for sure you were going to go Book.
Oh, okay. No.
Like, I just feel like Booker T's not a guy you want to mess with.
See, I wish I'd have seen
or Kevin Nash for that matter. I mean, even Ric Flair just randomly one day goes, "Hey, you know Kevin Nash is double tough," and I'm like, "That was out of left field, Richard." But okay, yeah, that's kind of fun. Who would you want to be?
That's a good question.
Foxhole with on the WCW roster. But getting to pick your own, I don't know, your own group of expendables like that, the Steiners, and maybe it's Booker T and Bing. Man, what a crew. That sounds like a power move. Almost like how hiring Morgan & Morgan is a power move. Did you realize Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm? Well, don't take my word for it. They've got over 100 offices. They employ more than 1,000 different attorneys, and they've been able to recover over $30 billion for more than 500,000 clients. Needless to say, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Check this success story out. In Florida, a client recently received $6.1 million after the original offer from the insurance company was only 100 grand. Over in Atlanta, a family recently received 29.5 million, but a different client up in Nashville just got 10.6 million bucks. If you're injured by the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. And if you are ever injured, you can check out Morgan and Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go right now to forthepeople.com/myworld or dial pound law. That's pound 529 on your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/myworld. That's FOR thepeople.com/myworld, or just dial pound law. That's pound 529 on your cell phone. This is a paid advertisement. 4040 Bree has a great question. He's asking about the Mid-South Coliseum. And this is something that's in the headlines again because the son of Sid Udy, Gunner, he has allegedly put in a bid to buy the Mid-South Coliseum. And maybe he's going to be running for mayor nearby. I'm not sure, but here's what I do know. We've got a question here from 4040 Bree who wants to know, where's the old ring that was in the Mid-South Coliseum? Is there a chance it's still in the building, Jeff? Do you know what happened to your dad's old rings?
That's a good question. No, it would have been taken out. That's it. And was that the last show in the Mid-South Coliseum? So did Lawler get that ring? Did Larry Burton? Did, oh my gosh, Corey Macklin, Randy Hales? That's a good question for maybe a Randy Hales. Just maybe Randy would be able to track that down. That's a, you know what? That's a good trivia. Man, what a find that would be. You think Heritage Auctions would,
I don't know what you would do with it if you got it, but it would be awesome if you found it. You know what I mean? Like it'd be really cool for you to have it. But like if some collector did have it, how do you display? I mean, you got to have a lot of space to display a ring. And what do you do with it?
That was a good, loud bump taker. Louisville was really good too. The ring stayed up in Louisville.
Well, listen, I've heard Cornette say this phrase before, a Southern bumping ring. And I just know what that means immediately. It is the sound. Why do guys like you and I really like the sound of certain rings? Why is that?
Emotion that it's like, to me, it goes back to the music. And does he say Southern? Because look, I've wrestled in good bump taking rings in Mexico and out west and the Northwest and Northeast and Canada. That's interesting that Corny would say that. But no, I do think it is when you're you know, like I just think professional wrestling, when you watch it on TV, the show audio is so important. And I can remember at TNA being so frustrated because we would, you know, it's again, when you run on shoestring budgets, we're like, hey man, if we had a whole nother subunit and a whole nother half a truck to just run audio, your audio would be better mixed, better channels. WWE had refined it. There is something, but there's something about a ring that has the right kind of sound when the bumps are taken on it. You can feel it better as watching it. When you hear it live and you hear the big splash and the sound, it's another sense that gets titillated, that gets affected.
A wrestling historian is with us here live. He wants to know, what remaining plans did you have left for GFW before your untimely departure? Did you have a big story or angle or a mission you were trying to accomplish with GFW?
I'm assuming the Anthem deal, right?
Yes, that's what he means.
Yeah. That was the total merger. And then, I mean, I kind of said it on here. I still say the worst thing we ever did, or the company ever did, was when you dropped the initials TNA. And at some point, that was kind of the whole foundation. Some way, somehow go for that. I would have loved to have had, but you never know. Pop TV, and it's funny, guy running Pop now is running CW, but grow into two brands. You know, you have Raw and SmackDown. But there wasn't any like specific, but there were different. But we were blocking and tackling. Let's just get through the next 3 months, 6 months. But there was going to be a universe. You know, the TNA brand. I never thought we should have gone away from it. I always knew it was there. And so the step one was GFW and Impact kind of get those and let Impact go back to being called. It could be GFW presents, Amped, and TNA presents Impact, and you could have run some stuff like that, and maybe eventually had a blow off or a merger or kept it separate. Now they call it. There's different promotions working together, and AEW Forbidden Door. But I was a big believer in 13, 14, 15 is recognize all the promotions around the world, because there's so much upside in that. Back in those days, it was AAA and New Japan, and there was a couple of promotions in Germany and the UK. I'm just a big believer in, once social media and YouTube and all that took off, there was no secret that there was just the WWF. And that was what Vince's whole mentality was. Nothing else. The old Ted Turner line. Well, I'm in the wrestling business. Well, Ted, we're in the entertainment business. That's how Vince viewed it. And that mentality aged out. And I think we're very aware of that today.
Mark Fusion says, Jeff, any memories of Keith Eric in Memphis? Conrad usually ignores Memphis related questions, but I'm hoping for the best. I've asked about 6 today. There's another. Tell me about Keith Eric.
You don't know who Keith Eric do? Probably don't, do you?
I don't know what we're saying.
No,
nobody listening does. There's not one person besides Mark Fusion who knows what we're talking about, but we're here.
I know who Keith Eric. Keith Eric was an enhancement man. And there was Jim Jameson, Keith Eric, several, but Keith was he was so good to me my first couple of years, because he knew his role. He knew what he's supposed to do. He was there to get guys over on Saturday morning, and Keith was a fine man and knew exactly. He was always, when we were matched up, he's like, drop kick. And I'm like, yes, sir. And we'd work out a spot or two and off we'd go. Good dude. Good to hear that name too.
It's weird that people think I have a hard on for Memphis. I love talking about Memphis.
I was going to say, you of all people, not at all.
No, I'm all about talking about Memphis. I don't have a hard on for Memphis, but I can't have a hard on for anything else thanks to Blue Chew Gold. The future of erectile function is here. Blue Chew Gold is changing the way millions of men are having sex in 2026. The new arousal boosting formula combines passion and performance into a tablet that dissolves under your tongue for super fast onset. No more waiting for a pill to kick in. No more moments ruined by performance anxiety. Just the results you want when you want them. Most ED meds only focus on blood flow, but Blue Chew Gold goes a step further by combining 2 ingredients for blood flow with 2 for mental arousal and connection. So you're not just physically ready, you're actually in the mood. This type of innovation is why Blue Chew Gold is the #1 brand in erectile function. The process is simple and all online too. Get started today at bluechew.com and go for the gold. Turbocharge your love life and make it easy to get hard. Discover your options right now at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the 3rd for free with the promo code MyWorld. That's promo code MyWorld. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast. And Jeff's wiener.
Tag for the wiener.
So listen, I did hope that we were going to have time to talk about AI today. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. We'll try to get to it next week. Okay. Let's talk about house shows. They're back. WWE announced a gang of house shows between July 11th and August 30th. They're running smaller markets: Los Cruces, New Mexico; Albuquerque, New Mexico; Allentown, Pennsylvania; Stockton, California; Bakersfield, California; Springfield, Illinois; Fairfax, Virginia; Manchester, New Hampshire; Savannah, Georgia; and Charleston and the South Carolina North Charleston Coliseum. All these tickets are going on sale this week. We've been talking about the lack of house shows. I know you felt strongly that it was critically important. WWE clearly listens to the show, and based on your advice, they have changed their course of action. What do you think about these new WWE house shows?
Hey, Dave, real quick, will you pull that back up? I want to see the routing on that. If you don't mind that graphic, I'm just curious. So you got 11, 12 back-to-back, 16. That's what I thought by itself. 25, 26, 30, 6, 13. I was curious about the routing.
Well, to be clear, hang on, just so you know, this is not listing the full schedule, so this isn't listing TVs. So,
hypothetically, the one-offs July 30th is wrapped around a Raw or SmackDown.
I'm just saying July 16th is a Tuesday. I mean, July 16th is a Thursday. So
Okay.
you're going to be running a Thursday show in advance of a Friday SmackDown, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. That's the routing. So did they, Conrad? I'm fascinated. I applaud it. I love it. I think the business, yeah, I'm going to say desperately needs it because there is so much upside, and we talked about it. At the very least, if you break even on the P&L for the weekend, you can't put a value on the marketing that you have the ability to your fan base to come out and touch the product. Little merch, social media content, develop talent. There's so much upside. I wish you were going to lead with. I'm surprised you didn't put this up top because I think it's big. Is it, why are they doing it? Do you have any inside scoop? Why now? I think it's great. I hope there's a lot more of it. I think the business, I said it whenever we brought this up, if there are not house shows run by the major promotions, it leaves an opportunity for a lot of wrestling because wrestling fans want to go watch it live, just like music. Some people, they're not going to spend 300 or 400, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 to go see a headliner, a Bruno Mars, or whatever it may be. They want to go see live music. Music City here in Nashville, live music's all over the place. And you can hear on Broadway, music acts are brought back based on how much beer is sold during their shift, period. It brings an energy. So I'm glad to see it, man. It's great for the business. It's certainly great for the product. I wish you had some insight for me.
Well, here's what I got. I got that none of these are all uniform. So the example I'm going to give is like 11th and 12th of July. That's a Saturday, Sunday. So we know we'll have a Friday SmackDown, and then we're going to do house shows on Saturday and Sunday over the weekend. But then we fast forward a few days, and the 16th, well, that's on a Thursday. So I think it's interesting that we're trying Saturday and Sunday house shows, but we're also trying Thursday house shows. It's not lost on me that we're butting it up against another event. You know,
Right.
like August 6th is a Thursday and August 13th is a Thursday. But I do think that sometimes people just assume that this is just something where there's not a lot of logistics involved. It's not just routing, to your point, but it's also you have contracts that are out there where you're guaranteeing a certain amount of money in exchange for a certain number of dates. And your largest lump sum of cash that's going to come in is going to be from your television rights standpoint. So you don't want to respectfully burn a date on one of your more expensive talents and use it on respectfully a B or a C town, because most of the towns that are announced here are not necessarily A markets. They're smaller markets. I think that's a great strategy for WWE. I'm glad they're doing it. But I also wonder, does it lend itself to, hey, let's send a guy out there who we know based on if you did like a prorated version of his contract and you did like almost a per appearance or per date dollar figure. I'm not sure that all of those top stars will pencil. And respectfully, do they really need the reps the way some of the other talent do who are still trying to find their voice creatively or try some things?
But
But if you don't put the stars on there, will it draw? So it becomes catch 22. How would you position this if this was your decision?
so we kind of a relevant topical deal. Can you imagine? And I'll let you fill in the blank on tag team wrestler 1 and 2 from NXT. But can you imagine the New Day versus wrestler 1 and 2 out in these live events? What they could learn. You're going to draw people. Know you. They may not be Raw and SmackDown every week players now, but out on the road, they're brand names. They know how to get guys over. They know how to work with them. So I think the positioning, I'm curious to see how many NXT talent are put on these events. I'm curious to just kind of see what does that main event top 2 matches look like, and then the undercard, because again, you've given me so much insight on TKO and fixed revenue and all that kind of stuff. Is there a mindset up top with Nick Khan going, you know what? We've got these contracts done where they're not dates. We can work them as much as we want, hypothetically saying. Who knows? We may see tour buses out on the road instead of, from town A to town B. I don't know, Conrad, but maybe there's a strategy here that they're going to maximize revenue, keep expenses low, run it tight ship P&L that needs to be run. And we see a scenario where there's a lot of C&D markets out there, Conrad, a lot. There's C&D markets all over, not just the United States, all over Canada, all over Europe. Do we see that? Is that the next iteration that, when you look at the venue business, Conrad, and you see, and I'm saying the stadium acts, and then you have the arena acts, and then you have a step down from that and theater acts, and then you have kind of the bar acts. Those venue guys out in the world that want content, wrestling is a absolutely phenomenal event to plug into a date, because when you think about, and I'm just going to say, not a WrestleMania or not an all-in production, we'll call it, I hate to say this, just a house show. It's still relatively 3 trucks, 2 trucks, lighting rig. You don't even have to do that. Sometimes you can just, a simple lighting rig, simple sound. Again, I'm going the whole fundamentals of professional wrestling on TV. It's inexpensive, relatively speaking, to produce. Well, the event business is the same. A wrestling ring, lights, sound. It's not the most expensive show to produce, and talent booked correctly, it's a moneymaker. It's why we've not just survived, but thrive for generations. Who knows? We may see a day where we go back to seeing, not talent on the road 20, 25 days a month, but you see shows, 20 shows a month. I wonder how many shows are going to be run when you just that month of July or August for TKO, for the WWE brand. Is it over 20 that month? Maybe.
Well, we know for sure that we've got 6 house shows in the month of July.
Okay.
So if you just take a look at TV, then you've got,
14.
5 Fridays, so that gets you 11. And then you've got 4 Mondays, so that would get you 15. And you're going to have at least 1 PLE. So maybe, there you go. So you're adding them up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and if you even got into the NXT Coconut Tour back in the day, in 2018.
Oh yeah, that's not counting NXT. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was, in the live event department, 2018, 2019, when you really look at the amount of events, whew, what a machine.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about next week, but and I do want to run through the AEW card this week. We're gonna kick the can again. I hate that we're doing it, but we'll talk about AI next week. And we are going to talk about Kevin Nash's sort of desperate plea. Hey, now's the time to unionize, boys. We'll talk about that next week here on the program. So be sure to make plans to jump in. But I did want to ask, there's rumor and innuendo. Well, it's not rumor and innuendo. It's been announced. In years past, AAA had multiple Triple Manias, and it would almost be, spread out. This year, it feels like they're adopting the WrestleMania 2-night approach. So we've already had one Mexico date announced. I think there's rumor and innuendo that there will be an American date announced. You got to assume, just at a glance, it's probably, and I could be wrong, but it's probably Los Angeles. And if it's not, it's probably Las Vegas. But it feels like somewhere on that side of the country. I'm curious, you used to be involved fairly decently with AAA. What do you think about them adopting the more modern WrestleMania style night 1, night 2?
It is no longer a I don't think it's no longer a Mexico first brand. It's a USA 1, Mexico 2. And that's from an economic point of view. They have to have the exchange rate's not great. So doing a Triple Mania in the United States, the P&L on that, it'll be the highest grossing, maybe not the most attended, but it'll probably be close, but it'll be the highest grossing by multiples in the history of that brand. Several years ago, Dorian, and rightly so, he had, his uncle Antonio 93 started it. They had built that Triple Mania brand up and up and up. And they're like, okay, how do we really monetize the brand? And it was in Mexico City every year without fail. every year, August, September, Triple Mania. And Dorian made a smart move and said, that's my most powerful brand. And I'm going to kind of have a Triple Mania season. He did Monterey, he did Tijuana, and then Mexico City. I think it's just retooling it. And again, what TKO does, how can I maximize profits? And I think that is, okay, we're going to put it under one night, laser our promotion. It's our version of our version of WrestleMania, but as opposed to doing 2 nights in Mexico City, we'll do one in Mexico City and one in America. And the one in America, or like I said, will be multiples. It'll be the highest grossing Triple Mania in history by a long way.
And here's a prediction for you. This will be proof of concept for what WWE is going to do with WrestleMania in 2028. One domestic, one international. And it too will be the highest grossing ever. Speaking of highest grossing, AEW is completely sold out for their pay-per-view this weekend. This is their second largest gate in the history of the promotion, at least in North America. Of course, second only to All In last year in Arlington. This is a really, really big deal to have all the tickets sold out more than a week in advance. Record house, Darby Allin and MJF for the world title versus hair. That's your main event. Jeff, what a story Darby Allin has had coming into this. He kind of got an upset win after Dynasty. The very next night, he took his title opportunity, caught MJF by surprise, and he's been on a tear, a string of 5-star matches, pulling out all the stops. He's even doing it again tomorrow night against Speedball Bailey. And we're overlooking Speedball and maybe Double J, but somehow, some way, if Darby Allin can drag what's left of himself into Louis Armstrong Stadium, he's going to be facing MJF this weekend. What do you think of Darby's run, and what do you expect with our main event this weekend, Jeff?
You know, I think it shocked. We text that night, wow, hometown, where do they go from here? When you look back over the last 4 weeks, I think God, and that's why, Conrad, I want to be a constant learner, because it feel like immediately when it happened, I think everybody went, all right, when's MJF going to win it back? Just because of the cadence of the industry. No, nothing more than the cadence of the industry. But now you look at week in, week out, the diversity of his opponents. It feels like a Darby run, although it is a month. But man, MJF walking into his hometown, the story, the emotion, they drew the picture out. Almost 101. I don't want to say old school, because then Jeff's, it's how you capture imagery and the ball heads, and it's well done. It is captivating, and I don't think the tickets being sold out are any surprise. It shouldn't be any surprise. I think congrats to all involved. I can't wait to be there on 0 Hour. Got some new threads, Connie. It's going to be a hell of a show. The matches, again, nobody does AEW nobody does pay-per-view like AEW. So, man, I'd give anything if old Max would end up being a shiny little chrome dome, but that ain't going to happen.
Wow. Okay. There you go. You got your answer right there from Double J. There's a spoiler.
It's his home turf.
AEW's World Tag Team titles are going to be on the line. We got FTR defending against Cage and Cope. And the stipulations here are, if Copeland and Cage lose, they'll never team again. The international title has Okada and Takeshita squaring off, a dream match, and it's finally happening. Of course, a lot of people have this one circled as a potential show stealer. The women's world title is going to be something I'm paying attention to. Thekla, who's probably, one of my 2 favorite television performers right now, in a 4-way against former champions Jamie Hayter and Sheeta and Statlander. How about the Stadium Stampede match? You want to talk about star power? Chris Jericho, the Elite, the Hurt Syndicate, Jack Perry, the Demand, the Dogs, Mark Davis, Andrade El Idolo. You want chaos? You're going to get it. Probably a double dose here. And for the Owens Hart quarterfinal for the women, it's Willow Nightingale and Alex Windsor, and Samoa Joe and Will Ospreay. That one, we know that Will Ospreay absolutely loved TNA. This feels like a dream match for Will Ospreay. I can't wait to see that one. I don't know what I'm looking forward to most. This is a pretty loaded card. What jumps off the page to you tonight, Jeff?
Stadium Stampede. It is such a recipe for me. It's going to be a spectacle. I'm very curious to see kind of where they take things. They have built a real, they built equity in the match, so to speak. They don't, obviously it's a once a year thing, but I think that is really lined up to be, okay, that's going to be a show. We're going to get our money's worth and then some. So that is one. You kind of mentioned the dream match. You stole my line. I do think that's a dream match. Not just for the fans, but no, I do think for Will, the TNA slant, what you just said is pretty cool. But then the main event, I do want to say MJF and Darby, because Darby, it's like, I hate to draw this analogy, but when Mick Foley was going to be all of his legendary main events, you just got the sense that we are gonna, my old buddy that owns a John Deere dealership, it's like, man, he used to tune in like, is tonight the night he passes away? But he would always just chuckle. But like, is there something, Darby? It's gonna be special. So those three, but I mean the Takeshita Okada match, I don't think I'll say this. I certainly would want to follow that one. That's going to be good. So the card is stacked, completely stacked.
Tickets are sold out, but you can still watch on pay-per-view. You can check it on HBO Max. You can check it out on My AEW. Of course, Amazon's got it, or anywhere you enjoy pay-per-views. Jeff's going to be there, and I'm going to be watching with a house full. Can't wait. Hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday. Be sure to check out AEW this weekend. And don't forget, tickets are on sale now. Catsfootball.com is where you need to go to pick them up. They're coming back, and you too can be a part of Colcomania.
There you go.
That'll do it for me. Anything else for you?
That's it, buddy. Enjoyed it on a Sunday Night Live. I appreciate everyone joining us here.
Absolutely.
With your questions.
And we'll see you next week right here on My World.
Peace.